Thrive Fantasy. Prop up on Thrive Fantasy this season. And now, here are your hosts, Mark Malusis and Keith Irizarry.
Schwarber's on it first, and Presley out of the stretch. Delivers. And the pitch bounced to third. Bregman scoops it on the run. Throws on the run to first. It's in time, and it's a no-hitter here for the Astros in Game 4 of the World Series. It is only the third playoff no-hitter in Major League Baseball history. It is the second to happen here at Citizens Bank Park.
There you go. It is Moose and Keith on Bettor Sports Network. He is Moose. I am Keith. And Moose, how about it? 688 World Series games have been played. Only twice we have seen a no-hitter. Obviously, I understand that there are going to be people out there that'll complain about whether this should count. It counts. I don't care. There were 0 hits that happened last night for the Phillies. So 0 hits.
It's not. I mean, listen, it's not the same as Don Larson's perfect game.
But a perfect game is different than a no-hitter. Anyway, but all I want to say is this. And I actually didn't.
Can we enjoy it? No.
That's what I want. That's what I just want to enjoy it. And I didn't even talk to you about this before we got on the air. Like, I specifically did not on purpose, but just enjoy it. Everyone, realize that you saw something happen that has only happened once ever. Okay? Simple as that. We are brought to you by Thrive Fantasy, by the way. Prop up. Make sure you do that. Bettor, Bettor is the code. You sign up, you get 100% instant free deposit match up to $250. Moose, it's a no-hitter, right?
Yeah, it is.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
It's a no-hitter.
We could stay friends.
Yeah, no, I mean,
I'm kidding.
I agree with you. And it started with, on social last night where people were being critical of it, saying, well, it doesn't really count, just like it doesn't count in the regular season. I heard, and I call him out. I saw a tweet from Jeff Passan, which is complete and utter nonsense.
He's wrong.
It's a case of a no-hitter's a no-hitter. So it's only the second time it's ever happened in World Series history. It's not, it's not one and the same. I'm not going to tell you that you're not going to wake up on this Thursday after watching what you watched last night and say, well, one man doing it is the same as a combination of 4 pitchers. No, it's not one and the same, but it still counts nonetheless. A no-no is a no-no. And that's exactly what the Houston Astros did last night. They couldn't catch up with Javier's fastball, the breakdown of that and his ability to have that rise through the strike zone. And he's not throwing the ball 97, 98 miles an hour, is utterly ridiculous. So Javier has been fantastic. He was fantastic against the Yankees. He was fantastic last night. And now you set it up with your 2 best starters for the Houston Astros, even though Verlander's been a stiff in the World Series. You set it up now with the potential to go out there and close the Philadelphia Phillies out in 6 games with this series going back to Houston, definitely for a Game 6.
And it worked out perfectly for the Astros, right? We talked about this. You're tied 2-2. Verlander, who is 0-6 in the World Series. And again, first ballot Hall of Famer. We know all of that. But he has struggled in the World Series. All the pressure is off. If he loses again tonight, it doesn't help his legacy, but it doesn't mean that his team now loses a World Series. There still is another game, no matter what happens tonight.
Right, but for Verlander, you'd like to pitch well.
Yes.
You would. It is, it is kind of one of those great outliers or an albatross when you look at it and you look at how great Verlander's is and how many Cy Youngs he's won and then you look at what he's done in the World Series and you say to yourself, what's gone wrong? We've had that conversation before. He was handed a 5-0 lead in Game 1 and gave it all back as the Phillies ended up winning that game in extra innings. Or else we're looking at a Philadelphia Phillies team that's down 3-1, looking to stave off elimination tonight. And maybe that would have differentiated where they're not sending Noah Syndergaard to the mound. Maybe then it would have been Zach Wheeler, who they gave a fair amount of rest to toward the tail end of the season, resting him for the final month. People talking about how they're trying to kind of nurse him along and get him across the finish line here. That's why they're giving him the extra couple days of rest here before he potentially starts a Game 6 down in Houston, either to win a World Series or stave off elimination. So Verlander's got to pitch well.
Yes.
I would imagine he wakes up this morning and be like, I need to put to bed, how bad I've been in the Fall Classic, because statistically there's no defense about it. He's been terrible.
Love on the over 5.5 strikeouts tonight, by the way. The Phillies are striking out an insane amount, more than 10 per game. By the way,
love Schwarber's response when he got asked about getting no hit last night. You can't say it here. I mean, you could, but you and I don't like to curse. But I mean, the fact is basically said I could care less about getting no hit. And that's the right attitude you have to have if you're the Philadelphia Phillies.
I mean, you either win or lose the game, right? Doesn't matter whether you had 100 hits or 0 hits. You either win or you lose.
Here's the deal that we talked about. None of us thought that, aside from Christian Javier's parents who told him the night before, you're going to go out there and throw in, you're going to be, throw a no-hitter tomorrow night. He was asked about that after the game when he got interviewed by Ken Rosenthal. Keith, you had a great breakdown for our audience yesterday when we were talking about the over for Javier when strikeouts based on the swing and miss stuff when you look at the Philadelphia Phillies, and that's exactly what you saw last night. So kudos to you.
Thank you. Yeah, this Phillies team, they hit a lot of home runs. We know that, but they have a penchant for striking out also. Some of the numbers on the Phillies. So Philadelphia is now hitless in their last 36 at-bats. Okay, that goes back to a 6th inning single for Nick Castellanos on Tuesday. And the Phillies now have 0 runs scored in the last 12 innings. And to spin it even further forward, the Houston Astros bullpen has now allowed just 5 runs, 4 of them earned, over the last 47 1/3 innings pitched, 0.76 ERA. And the only earned run given up in the World Series by the Astros bullpen was that home run by Real Muto in Game 1. That's pretty crazy.
That is pretty crazy. You think about it. And now the time to jump on the Houston Astros would have been after Game 3. It's not now because now they're a 2-1 favorite to win the World Series. And I think the Philadelphia Phillies, the odds might have shifted through the overnight. But when I checked last night, they were about plus 170 to win this series. So, that is a great difference where you've looked at the swings of momentum in this series after Game 1, then after Game 2, and then after the power display, the 5 home runs, the 7-0 victory in Game number 3 by the Philadelphia Phillies, and then watching the Astros bounce back last night. We got what we wanted. We mentioned it yesterday, Keith, that we won a long series. We'd like to see this go 6 or 7 games. That's exactly what we're going to get. At the very least, it's going to be a 6-game series, and now all the momentum swings to the Astros' way to where the pressure is on them. Mattress Mac was a happy man last night walking out of that field down in Philadelphia.
Yeah, he didn't have to curse at anybody.
No, he didn't have to curse at anybody. He didn't have to get into it with anybody. So he's a happy man. I think he's got, $15 million on the Houston Astros to win. So, and they've got their 2 horses going in the next couple games. And potentially, if this game gets to a Game 7, you could have Javier on 3 days rest going into Game 7 down in Houston as well.
And that was something else I think was really critical. If you listen to the post-game show, actually on MLB Network, when it was Matty V and Carlos Pena holding down the fort until, the Greg Amsinger and Harold Reynolds and them could take over actually at Citizens Bank Park. Something that Carlos Pena said really stuck with me. The smartest thing Dusty did last night was not let Javier go longer in this game. He felt very comfortable with his bullpen. He felt very comfortable that they could win the game, not with Javier on the mound. And by doing that, stopping at 97 pitches means that you can feel comfortable if this goes to a Game 7. Yes, you could probably get 5 more innings out of Javier in Game 7. So I think it was a fantastic move by Dusty Baker, who's someone I think kind of screwed up the day before. Like when McCullers had given up the first 4 runs, you should have pulled them then. So
right, and gave your team an opportunity before it gets out of hand. Yeah, I think it's fair. Listen, I think that game is handled differently. If that is a no-hitter in the 6th inning, he's got 97 pitches. And, that is a potential closeout game and you're leading that game by daylight the way that you are. I think,
might be different,
Dusty Baker is keeping him in the game and giving him an opportunity to chase his and before he gives up a hit. So I think there's reasons and rationale why they did it. The Astros are there not to throw a no-hitter in the World Series. The Astros are there to try and win a World Series. And now it's tied up at 2 games apiece. Everyone looked at that game last night as being a pivotal game. I don't think you'll find a lot of people now that are telling you that the Philadelphia Phillies are going to win it. Everything could change, and now tonight's going to be a fascinating one to see if Verlander can bury the World Series ghosts of poor performances in the Fall Classic, and then you've got Syndergaard on the mound for Philadelphia.
Yeah, you brought up the line shifts, the movement. So game one, Astros were minus 200, Phillies were plus 165 to win the series. This is to win the series. Game number two, Astros, even despite being down 1-0, just shifted to plus 110. It wasn't that big of a difference, but Phillies then minus 135. Tied at 1, it was minus 175 for Astros. Phillies jump all the way up to plus 145. When the Phillies win game 3, it went to plus 125. We talked about it on these airwaves yesterday. If you believe the Astros are going to win the series, you had to get in yesterday at plus 125. I know some of the books were different. This I'm looking through BetMGM right now. Phillies are minus 150. And then, now Astros are minus 190. Phillies are plus 155. Also, Moose, the World Series MVP odds, seismic changes there.
Yeah, because yesterday Harper was plus 185, right?
170 by the time we got closer to game time. Now plus 350. Schwarber was 850. Now plus 1400. Real Muto barely even on the board. He was 10-1. He's now 25-1. And all the Astros have jumped up. Tucker jumped to plus 450. Bregman up to 550. And Altuve and Jordan both 11-1.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I would think if I were to take one of those guys right now, I'd probably tell, because I think from an Astro perspective, I think and the odds are leading you to believe that it's up for grabs. I get why Tucker's leading the market. I'd probably take a peek at Bregman.
I like Tucker. I like Bregman. It comes up big in big moments, but I think I also like Tucker's matchup tonight.
That was a hell of a hit down the right field line off 101 mile an hour pitch.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to drive in a pair of runs, that was a great hit. And that was pretty much all she wrote. Once they went up 3-0 last night, you didn't really see all that much at all. A couple of, hard line drive fouls by Kyle Schwarber, but that was basically about it.
Yeah, you mentioned Bregman. Over 1.5 total bases, plus 140, 3 for 16 so far in the series. All 3 of his hits are extra base hits. If you want to look at how the trend has gone for Syndergaard, over the final 5 starts for him, he's given up 3 home runs to righties. So there's something there for you on Bregman.
Nice. There you go. I like that. I mean, and now tonight you got an all Philadelphia night. We'll get into the Thursday night game.
Oh, I love it.
Because it is Eagles and Houston. That is the Texans down in Houston, as the Eagles are a huge favorite this evening, and rightfully so. We'll get into that, talk a little bit about fantasy as well, help you out with your fantasy lineups too. But I mean, if you're a Philadelphia fan, I mean, tonight's your night. You got game 4 you got game 5 of the World Series between the Stros and the Phillies, and you got a little Thursday night football as the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, I think we'd all be stunned if they don't come out of the game tonight undefeated.
Yes, I think they'll end up 8-0. I think it's more about whether they cover the 14 or 14.5, depending on what book you're on, right? I mean, that's really what it's about. From a gambling standpoint, from a fantasy standpoint, yes, we'll talk about that as well. I love me some AJ Brown. Just throw it out there. I'm going to use AJ. I don't know. See, I always get fearful about this stuff. Do I give away my picks in things that people who could be in my leagues are paying attention to?
Yeah, you have to give them. Yeah, what
do you
mean? You're a man of the people.
Give that away?
Yeah, you're a man of the people.
All right, well, Fantasy Survivor is down to just 22 people left in the pool. All right, Keith, that's your job. I get it, Calabrese. I get it in the chat. Talking to me. I'm going to use AJ Brown in Fantasy Survivor. So Fantasy Survivor, by the way, and I know that we've talked about this. We talked about this before the season even started. We're down to the final 22 people in this one. I'm still very much alive. And this was the week where I always start looking ahead and start trying to plan out the rest of my season. So I literally run through who's gone and who might I use. Like I have every quarterback lined up. Obviously, there could be injuries now from week 9 through week 16. I mapped it out. And that I'm not giving everybody. I'm sorry. That I'm not, because that other people who could be
give it all out.
Nope, not giving it all. I still want to win my pool. All right. I'm not giving everything, but I will tell you that I'm using AJ Brown tonight.
AJ Brown. That's it. That's all you're going to give us.
In Survivor, yes. That's the only one I'm giving you.
That's disappointing.
I'll give you props that I like tonight. Damian Pierce is a prop I like tonight. I've already used him in Survivor. Feel free. Yeah. I
do. I got to be honest with you. I do feel bad because I saw your tweet last night. I saw your tweet last night and I was sitting courtside and Nick.
Yeah. What's up with that?
Yeah. So what happened was there's a guy that his nickname is Courtside Gary, right? And so last year he took me to the opener of Knicks Celtics at the Garden. I had to leave early. That game ends up going to overtime, ends up being an unbelievable game. That led to the Bing Bong video afterward and everything like that, right? So, and then I got, raked over the coals on radio in New York for leaving that game early because I had to go and do some work at SNY. So, Courtside Gary I befriended him. He's a great guy, this and that. So we get off the air yesterday, had done at 12. I'm getting myself ready to come down to WPIX, and he sends me a text. He's like, listen, hey, Moose, I got an extra ticket tonight. Do you want to come to the game? Knicks Hawks. I'm like, yeah, for sure. Like, what do I owe you? He goes, no, you don't owe me anything. Good guy. Can't believe it. Roslyn, Long Island, right? Just unbelievable. Has had these seats for like 20 plus years. And so I ended up going and sitting watching a little Knicks Hawks about 20 feet away.
Did you leave before the debacle?
Was Floyd Mayweather. I left when the Knicks were down 18. So
that was brutal, by the way.
Yeah, the Knicks were down 18. But yes, so I feel bad though, because you're like, why didn't we talk about this yesterday? Well, when we were on the air yesterday, I had no idea that I was going to be offered a seat to go to the Garden last night. It happened basically around like 12:45, 1 o'clock yesterday afternoon. And I was like, yeah, why not?
How close were you to Floyd, you said?
I was about 20 feet away. He had a security. You couldn't go.
Did you head nod him? Did you give him a head nod?
Yeah. He looked over. Yeah.
Yeah. Did he give you a head nod back? Did he give you a this?
No, probably no, not really.
What? All right. Okay. Rewind the tape, guys. I know this is live, but rewind the tape. Let's do this again. Let's try this again. So how far were you from Floyd Mayweather?
Like 20 feet away.
Did you give him a head nod?
Yes.
Did he give you a head nod back?
Yes.
Nice. That's pretty cool. Good story. That's a great one.
Dude, it was so strange. It was like people were like dying to get close to him, right? And he had like probably 4 MSG security guards that were around him, and then he had his own security detail that was around him. Like anytime when we went to halftime, there were people that were screaming for Floyd, this and that, and whatever. So it was cool. Like it was awesome. It's a fun experience. It's just different. And I was lucky enough to get the call from Courtside Gary. I got to send a picture. I took a picture of me and Gary last night. I got to send it out a little bit later on social media. So that's what. But yes, the Knicks blow a 23-point lead. Trae Young, fantastic. Murray, fantastic. The Atlanta Hawks win that game by daylight going away.
I mean,
awful performance.
Yeah,
you were on it. I took the. Yeah, when we were going through the NBA yesterday, I took the Knicks laying the 2. You took the Hawks plus the 2. You're like, listen, the Hawks are just better.
Yeah.
And yes, Keith, they are.
I just think I think that this stretch of 8 games is going to show us that the Knicks are an average basketball team. And that's not bad. That's fine. I like in New York, people are trying to sell us that the Knicks are this, playoff team. They're not. They're an average basketball team. They're going to be around 8, 9, 10. That's what they are.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I think it'd be disappointing if they're not in that play-in tournament.
Sure, exactly. You went out, you spent some money on Jalen Brunson, you got RJ Barrett, you made sure that he comes back. You're hoping that Mitchell Robinson is healthy. Julius Randle is supposed to maybe buy into being a team player again. That's what they are. I mean, look up and down the East. There's 7 teams, maybe 8, that are clearly better than the Knicks, unless something catastrophic happens to their roster. It's as simple as that.
And, listen, they lose out on DeJounte Murray, who they were interested in from San Antonio. He ends up in Atlanta. They missed out on Donovan Mitchell, who ends up in Cleveland with the Cavaliers. So there are limitations to what this Knicks team can do, and turnovers were a killer. And I mean, points off turnovers were a killer last night. And, at one point in time, they're terrible playing with a lead. You're not wrong. Yeah. I mean, listen, I see the comment from Deutsch in the chat session, average is the worst thing you can be in the NBA. I get it, but the Knicks have tried being god awful. and they're bad at that too.
Yes, they
because
are.
they don't get the next superstar. They don't get lucky in the draft lottery. None of that happens. So they bottomed out as well. We've watched that too, and it's terrible too. So I'll just take relevant Nick basketball.
Yeah.
There's limitations to what this team can be, and knowing that going into the year, if they're just part of the play-in tournament, I take that as a success over what we watched a year ago.
Yeah, and I think you're going to have exciting moments with this New York Knicks team. And that's the thing. George is probably right. You don't want to be average. Average is bad. Like that's not the place you want to be because, what's the best case scenario for the Knicks this year? They sneak in as like the 7 seed and maybe have a good first round. Okay. But at least they're in the playoffs, right? I'd rather do that than rely on ping pong balls. Because what's the other option right now? And I know we're not trying to only do New York stuff here, but you were at the Knicks game, so let's try to do this. What's the other option? You're just going to get rid of everybody but Brunson and Barrett and just build around those two and say, let's tear it all down?
Yeah, I mean that would be the other option. I mean to basically give in to what Danny Ainge was looking for Utah and give him everything he wanted for Donovan Mitchell. But then there's also a cap to what you were going to be with Donovan Mitchell as well. Now the point is that do you have the right coach in Thibodeau to be able to develop the young talent that you held on to for those guys now to get better and become integral pieces to this team and making sure that you have a rotation that does work. And listen, the Knicks, Evan Fournier is not a good basketball player. I mean, that is a missed signing from 2 years ago, right? I mean, that was a terrible signing at the time. I said it was a terrible signing at the time. Randall's been better this year. Mitchell Robinson, Barrett's got to improve his outside shot. Brunson is a massive improvement at the point guard spot. I'm going to take it for what it is. I know, Ernie's saying, well, try being good. They are trying to be good. I mean, it's gonna take a little bit of time.
Into an offseason thinking that they missed out on Mitchell because of the trade stipulations there from Utah, and they missed out on DeJounte Murray. That stunk. But getting Jalen Brunson, they got a real point guard. He's not an all-star or anything like that, but he got a real point guard to try to grow with RJ Barrett. So I don't think the Knicks didn't try. I think they tried. I think it's just another case of them probably whiffing a little bit.
Well, agreed. We got good. I mean, I'm with you till 11. Then Cody Decker's hopping on with Keith and going from 11 to 12. And we're giving away cool prizes with our daily social giveaway on Twitter all week long. You can be a winner. Follow us at Bettor Network and retweet the official pinned giveaway post. One lucky bettor can win today's prize, which is a Jalen Hurts autographed full-sized Eagles football helmet. That's fantastic. Contest closes tonight at 9:00 Eastern on Bettor Sports Live with Rick Kamla. He'll announce the winner. You must follow Bettor Network on Twitter. Retweet the pinned giveaway post to qualify. Brought to you by GetInTheGame.com and Bettor Sports Network. That is
I can't win that. Is that another one that I'm not allowed to win?
No, I wish I could win it for my son.
Yeah.
Like I'd be like a conquering hero for Jackson. Right? I brought home a Jalen Hurts bobblehead or Jalen Hurts autographed
signed helmet. Yeah.
Right. I was thinking about bobblehead because my son's Carson Wentz Eagles bobblehead fell off of his dresser and it like broke. And he's like, Dad, can you fix it? I'm like, he's missing his leg.
Did you tell him that the Wentz wagon has been broken for a few years now? That's what you should have said.
I know,
no,
but
son.
I feel bad.
No,
like he's
son.
Only 9. Like
Wentz is broken. You need to move on.
Right. I need to upgrade his Eagle swag, whatever it is.
The kids are clearly they're in school right now. They're not listening right now. Why don't you get him a Jalen Hurts bobblehead for Christmas or for the holidays?
I might.
Right?
Yeah, swag. Thank you, Baby J. Swag. I said swag. I don't know why I said swag, but I think I was looking up the Jalen Hurts bobbleheads. I'm buying at a high point now, though. Like I went and looked, and like the Carson Wentz bobbleheads is like $5 for $1, and the Jalen Hurts bobbleheads are like $250.
I mean, you know that this network has connections with collectibles.
That's true.
I'm not saying you have to ask for a favor, but like getting the game works with us. I wouldn't be surprised if you were to
ask. I know. I
send
feel
a note
like
over to him.
Overstepping my bounds, though. Like I feel bad about that.
Well, then what you do is you make Ernie do it for you, or Keith behind the scenes. Ask one of them. Be like, "Yo, Ern, Hook me up, bro. How many people call him Earn? I feel like I need to do it. From now on, I'm calling him Earn. I'm not calling him
Are
Earn
you going to
anymore.
call him Earn? Like, what's the movie where it was Big Earn?
Big Earn. Well, I knew that Earn is also the in the TV show Atlanta on FX.
Ernie just said literally nobody calls him Big Earn.
Well, I don't know if
You should call him that. That would bother him.
Big Earn was Kingpin.
Oh, that's it. Kingpin. That's
Kingpin.
right.
Yep.
Big Earn.
But Earn. Earn.
Kingpin's an amazing movie. Bill Murray is amazing in that movie. With the comb over.
Yep, and he's like rubbing the ball.
Right. It's like with the rose in the middle.
Oh my God, Baby J going after Ernie. They call him Lil Acosta. Wow. No Big Earn, Lil Acosta. Baby J, I think you just got on probation for another 90 days. That's what just happened there.
We got a lot to get to and a little time to do. Rashad Phillips is going to join us. We got to get into the Thursday night game. We'll look at side total, look at a little fantasy as well. And we got into the baseball. We'll continue to do that. It's Moose and Keith with you on a Thursday right here, Bettor Sports Network.
Big Earn.
Let's talk a little Thrive Fantasy, shall we? Because he is with us. And that is the CEO of Thrive Fantasy joins us now, and that is Adam Weinstein, who is now a Thrive Fantasy proud sponsor. Well, we're happy that they are sponsoring the Moose and Keith show right here on the Bettor Sports Network. Hey, Adam, good morning. Thanks. Appreciate it, and thanks for partnering up with us. We're excited about the opportunity ahead.
Good morning, fellas. Excited on our end as well.
Yeah, really cool stuff. I did my first NFL challenge yesterday. I did a Monday night one, ended up hitting 6 out of 10 and ended up winning $25. So I did pretty well. Finished 260 out of almost 1,200.
I mean, hitting 6 out of 10 in any other platform, you're probably not making your money back or being profitable. But on Thrive, if you hit 60%, you got a chance.
Talk us through that too, because I do find like that part of it is really cool. So many options to become a winner.
Yeah, so unlike your traditional daily fantasy where you're drafting one quarterback, one running back, one wide receiver, we give a user list of 20 over-unders in which they pick 10 out of 20. Each one has a fantasy point associated with it based on the likelihood it is to hit. So you can get 7 out of 10 right. I can get 8 out of 10 right, but you can still theoretically beat me if you pick more underdogs. So a lot of fun, more of a pick up and play type mentality. Essentially, the reason behind Thrive is I didn't want people to have to research 30 quarterbacks, 60 running backs, 150 wide receivers, right? We're only asking you about the Bradys of the world, the Zekes. So these are the people that you want to engage with, the ones that you're knowledgeable about. And it's just more streamlined, more easy for the casual fan to compete.
Adam, when did you mention the reasoning behind Thrive Fantasy? When did you realize that there was an opportunity within the marketplace of this missing that you think would work?
Yeah, so I've been a player prop guy for probably 12 to 13 years now, way before PASPA. I graduated UMass Amherst 2012 with a sport management degree when DK and FanDuel were coming aboard. I was like, given my sports knowledge, I'm going to crush it on these sites. Lo and behold, I got my absolute butt kicked. So I thought, hey, if player props and daily fantasy had a baby, I think that could be pretty cool. I left my sales job at the Yankees in 2016 to found Thrive. We launched in 2018, a month prior to PASPA, and the rest is history. We started with the NFL, MLB, and NBA, and we now offer about a dozen plus sports and esports across the board.
Download Thrive Fantasy in the Apple app and Google Play Store, or visit thrivefantasy.com. Prop up with Thrive Fantasy this season.
Baby, I got your money, don't you worry. I said, hey.
Good job, Keith.
Thank you.
Well done.
What do you think about the Powder Blues tonight? It looks like the Phillies going to rock the Powder Blues tonight.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I mean, honestly, I love those unis. I love everything about them. Brings you things. You think about Mike Schmidt. You think about Pete Rose. You think about McGraw. You think about, those Philadelphia Phillies teams. Like, those are beautiful unis. Like, there are some uniforms where you go back and they're better then than they are now. The Phillies ones are great. Like I love when the Royals wear the powder blue. Think about George Brett, Dan Quisenberry. I love when that happens. Some of the Astros throwback unis are great as well. When they have like the rainbow thing looking going. But yes, I love the powder blue.
72% of the tickets are on the Phillies money line plus 135 tonight. That is courtesy of BetMGM. And you got to wonder.
You get that. No one's won back-to-back games in the series, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, it's gone back and forth, right? It's been a game of ping pong. Game 1, game 2, game 3, game 4. And now if you're going to ride the momentum train, you're going to say, well, now the Philadelphia Phillies are going to bounce back. If the Phillies are going to win this series, they got to win tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not all hands on deck, as the cliche goes, because they're not facing elimination, Keith. But I have a hard time thinking that that the Phillies lose Game 5 tonight and then go down to Houston and win 2 straight against the Stros.
Verlander, Game 1, 06, loss. Game 5, 06, loss. Game 1, 12, loss. Game 2, 2017, no decision. Game 6, 2017, loss. Game 2, 19, loss. Game 6, 19, loss. Game 1 of this series, no decision.
Yeah.
I think that would lend itself to also believing in the Philadelphia Phillies. You have to think at some point, someone with the pedigree of Verlander and who's going to be the Cy Young winner would figure it out. Like, you have to think that. And coming off a night where the Phillies bats couldn't get a singular hit last night, if there was ever a time, it has to be now for Verlander.
I would agree with you, but okay, I'll take the contrarian argument.
Okay.
The contrarian argument is this: he has not looked good in the postseason.
Yeah, I mean, that first game against the Mariners.
The first game against the Mariners was bad. If the Yankees had any kind of offensive life, and the Yankees kind of played to, what their brand is with all and the strikeouts and not being able to hit, quality pitching, but they had Verlander on the ropes early on in that game. And so they took him off the ropes, and then all of a sudden he settled down, right? Blows a 5-0 lead in Game 1 of the World Series. So he's not pitched particularly well, dealt with an injury in the second half, missed a ton of time. Other guys made a run at him for the American League Cy Young Award race. So, I agree with you. Like, logic would say he's too good. Like, he's too talented. He's accomplished too much. There's too much there to think that at some point in time, like, Verlander's not going to tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, how you doing? I'm back. And be like, yeah, okay, there's the Justin Verlander that we've all watched over the course of his career.
Yeah.
But you've watched him in this postseason, and for whatever reason, maybe it's the fact that he's 39, maybe he's not 100%, whatever it is, Keith, he has not looked like the Justin Verlander that dominated for 3/4 of the baseball season in the regular season.
Yeah, I mean, you saw Scherzer kind of slow down towards the end of last year, towards the end of this year.
Yeah.
Maybe there is something to be said about, a guy nearing it on 40 who often relies on a fastball to not be able to throw a fastball as well as he can at the beginning of a year.
Well, right. And Work and Grind says in our chat session, he's a fastball guy. At this point of the season, everyone hits fastballs. Not last night.
I mean, 72% of the pitches last night were fastballs from
Javier.
Right.
So not really. I mean, and I'm not meaning and doing that to call you out, Work and Grind. The point being is it's all about location. So you're not wrong where if I throw a fastball and it's middle part of the plate, yeah, that's going to be hit 470 feet out. And whatever team hits it is going to be celebrating. That much is true. Look at the way that Javier, and give credit to Christian Vasquez behind home plate as well, because he called an unbelievable game too, the former Red Sox catcher, because as his battery mate, how they were able to elevate, and he gets a natural rise with his fastball that it has, as they say in the trade, late life.
Yeah.
Like, it's interesting when you look at Javier's, and they were talking about this on radio last night on MLB Network Radio when I was driving home from WPIX. They were talking about the very fact of, like, you look at Javier's 93-mile-an-hour fastball. It comes at you or hits you, or the strike zone is completely different at his 93 as compared to somebody else's 93. For whatever reason it is, it does have a lot of late life to it. And I think it's the fact of where it starts, how it rises. And look at how many times last night you saw the Philadelphia Phillies swinging underneath pitches as he was going out there and dominating. So that's a key. Location is always a key, regardless of what you're throwing.
Yeah, as we look ahead to tonight too, and we gave you some of the numbers with the percentages. Obviously, a lot of the ticket coming in on the Philadelphia Phillies. You know, the ping pong match that you call it, right? I would be worried if I'm the Phillies, and here's why. As much as I'm not sold that Verlander can turn it back and crush you one more time and finally get a win or at least have a good outing, I don't believe in Noah Syndergaard. I don't. I've seen enough of Syndergaard to understand that he can be hit. And, you know, righties have crushed Syndergaard this year. So to your point, Bregman might be a nice play tonight for a player prop. Jose Altuve could be a good player prop tonight. But lefties also hit Syndergaard well. So guys like Tucker and Yordan Alvarez could have big nights also. I would like to see, and I'll do this a little bit later. Unfortunately, I don't have all of those notes done yet for right now, but we're going to dive into the weather. Last night, while the weather was not, you know, the wind wasn't blowing in or anything like that, our lead researcher at Bettor's Eye, Jessica Brand, had done a bunch of crunching of the way the wind was blowing, what the air was like, the chill in the air. I mean, she had a whole bunch of cool stuff for us, and we went over it last night on Bettor's Eye Striker, and I did. And it lent itself to an under, even though the prototypical thought was that it would be an over. So we'll crunch those again this afternoon. We'll want to see how the weather plays out. And I promise everybody we'll give you those. So if I don't tweet it out earlier today, you can watch Bettor's Eye tonight, and Matt Stryker and I will let you know if the weather lends itself towards an over or an under also. I think there's some real importance there.
What was the key, I guess, what was the key tangible stat that lent itself to the under?
So the way, so it was the chill in the air. Okay. So there was no humidity whatsoever. It was the chill in the air, and it was that the wind was blowing more towards the right, but not like, it was like, so how would I describe this? It was like east-west, not north-south, right? So it was right, it was towards right field, but more towards like out. I don't know if that makes sense.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Am I explaining this correctly?
So it was crosswind. You're talking about.
I'm trying. Yeah, thank you. Crosswind. So it wasn't out towards the outfield. It was this way.
I got you. So it's across the field, right?
Yes.
So it
wasn't helping. It wasn't like
So
a
it's
crazy
knocking
big
down.
wind, but it wasn't helping.
Gotcha.
Yep.
I like that. Very nice.
Yeah.
Now you can be a meteorologist.
Oh, I would not want to do that. No.
Well, you're all over the place today. I saw your tweet earlier this morning. You got NHL Network tonight at 9:00.
Yeah, I got to drive to Jersey today. I'm
MLB.
I'm going to be in Secaucus today.
When do you leave for Secaucus?
I'm going to probably try. We'll be done here at 12. I'll get in the car by like 1:30.
1:30 to Secaucus, and then you're there till midnight tonight?
Yeah, I'm on. Yeah, I got to do the MLB Network hit, the social hit, Bettor's Eye at 7:30, and then I get like 45-minute break to get myself ready for hockey, and then I'm on tonight with Mike Kelly and John Torchetti.
Nice. That's at 9. Now, do you do that until every game is over?
Yep. Yes. Yeah. So 3 hours.
You might be there till like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning.
So the only thing is, sometime
You're gonna be fresh as a daisy tomorrow.
I am not gonna be pleasant. I'm gonna wear a hat, I think, tomorrow.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I look forward to doing the show with you.
Yeah, I'm gonna be so.
We're like a
miserable.
married couple now.
Yeah, right. You're like, oh, you're gonna be pleasant tomorrow. Great. So usually what happens is when we get to midnight, they will either have us, if one game is really close to finishing, we'll stay. Sometimes we throw to the third period live of a game, or sometimes we just hand it off to On the Fly, which is the next show.
Oh, okay.
So it varies. I'm hoping that it's one of the first two.
You're hoping that's a handoff.
Yeah, I want to do the handoff.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you can get out.
Yeah.
Get in the car.
And how about
Listen to
this?
a little music, take you away.
Guess who my researcher is on hockey tonight?
Jessica Brand.
It is.
Oh, Jessica's the best.
She's so excited.
Send
She
her
sent
my
me a
best.
text
She's
yesterday. I will. She sent me a text yesterday as we were done with Bettor's Eye, because yesterday was her last Bettor's Eye. She's actually not on with us today for the final show. And she's like, I'm so disappointed. Like, that's it for now. And then she sends me a text. I'm on hockey with you tomorrow. Like, she was so excited. So
Today's the last show of Bettor's Eye?
yeah, we don't do weekends.
Oh, wow.
Man, we don't do weekends. So yesterday was the penultimate. Today is it. Man, that's it for us for Bettor's Eye.
You won't do a wrap up on Monday?
We will. It is not on the schedule. I mean, I could ask, but it's not on the schedule. No, I mean,
gotcha.
I just move over to hockey now. So like for me,
Yeah. So you're mentally have shifted over.
I'm already ready. Yeah, I was already diving into hockey stuff last night. This afternoon,
Doing rosters,
Yep.
looking at the.
How about these Bruins, huh? Only one loss this year, right?
Bruins have been unbelievable.
Devils have been good.
Devils
right?
have been good.
Vegas
Rangers
is dominant.
Vegas, Jack Eichel.
Yep.
You get all your pronunciations down?
I do. I also have a pronunciation guide next to me at all times, just in case.
What's the hardest name before we go to break? What's the hardest name?
Oh my God, who did I mess up last year all the time? Or it was I think it was 2 years ago. I used to like doubt myself all the time on one guy. What is it? Was it Elias Pettersson? It might have been. Yeah, I think it was Elias Pettersson. Like I always wanted to say Elias, because Elias Sports Bureau, but it's Elias Pettersson. That was one where every time his name came up, I doubted myself. And he's a good hockey player too. So
the hockey names are tough.
They're not easy. No, they're not easy.
Let's welcome aboard right now Rashad Phillips. He is with us.
That's an easy name to say.
That is a very easy. He's got a book, The Evolution is being televised, basketball position metrics. Let's welcome Rashad aboard right now. Hey, Rashad, Mark Malusis, Keith Irizarry, Moose and Keith with you. Thanks for the time this morning.
Thanks for having me, guys. How you doing?
We're doing well. So for those that are not educated on your book and what you've worked on, give us a little feel, and then we can kind of dig deep into it.
Yeah, the book is obviously it's called The Evolution is being televised, the basketball position metric, and it's a book that I've been working on for quite some time now. When you look at the landscape of not only sports but the world in general, we've been experiencing evolution from cars to phones to TVs and to athletes. When you look back, 50, 60, 70 years ago, the basketball player, the football player, the baseball player, they have all changed today. So what I've been able to do is kind of chronicle that evolution as it's ran its course and put it in a book format and really come up with these unique new position names that fit today's players and some of the players that played in the past, these terms that fit them as well. So I've been able to, put a book together. It will be out by the end of this month, the first week of December. I wanted to do it around Christmas time for the holidays to get it on everybody's porch or under everybody's tree. And it's been really fun to do it. It's been a lot of work, though. I tell you that.
Well, I've rocked with you for many years now. You and I have become friends off the air as well. I already pre-ordered the book. I can't wait to read it. I'm going to have both of my sons read it as well.
Yes.
All right. So I know the genesis of everything. Let's start with Ja Morant. And I think that Ja Morant is someone who you were ahead of the curve for one, because you would have picked him over Zion in that draft, and you've known Ja for a while. But let's get into the positionless basketball. Where does he fall in that?
Well, when you look at Ja, Ja does fit under the point guard position. Obviously, he has some traits that would put him in a hybrid guard, but he's more of a point guard because what separates the point guard from a hybrid guard is facilitation. And Ja is a heavy facilitator. I mean, he led the nation in assists in college. He still distributes the ball. He plays with the facilitation type of trait. So that will keep him under the point guard pendulum. But at times he is a disruptor. Hybrid guards are more disruptive, a lot like Steph Curry and Damian Lillard. So those guys aren't heavy facilitators. But Ja is, I really believe he can win MVP this year. I think he'll win at least 2 before his career is done because he just has that aura about him. And he has that magnetism, and he's a winner. That's one thing about Ja Morant. He wins games.
He does do that. Rashad, what about with the evolution? You're focused on the evolution of the player, right?
Yeah.
Want to get to some underrated players. What about where the game has evolved to with the NBA game? Those that are critical of it, what do you say to them?
I mean, the world has always had this point where we started somewhere and we were uncomfortable once it started to change, right?
Right.
And I can speak from just, my own personal experience. I grew up with the black and white TV, right? There was we didn't get a color TV till I was 11, 12, right? And
right. I grew up black and white TV where the blood when watching an NBA game was gray.
right. Then you get the color TV, right? You get the
Right.
color TV, and then all of a sudden you get the HD TV. So when you look at sports, it has in parallel grown with the world's evolution. And I think that evolution is inevitable. It's one word that is always going to be synonymous with change. And that's what we're watching. When we watch football, remember, there was just pocket quarterbacks. 30 years ago, there was no such thing as the Lamar Jacksons, the Michael Vicks, the Cam Newtons, the Josh Allens, guys that really couldn't run out of the pocket. There wasn't no Deebo Samuels, guys that were like hybrid guys that can play in the backfield and wide receiver. So we're just watching evolution take shape as a whole.
What are the positions? And I know you've put it out on social media, so it's not giving away everything, but what are the positions in positionless basketball?
Yeah. So there's 12 positions. Obviously the 5 standard. The 5 standard doesn't go anywhere, right? Those 5 standards make sense. What I've been able to do is take those 5 positions and dig in between them and actually find the other guys that play those positions. So you have the point guard position, but with the point guard position, you have the traditional guard, and then you have the hybrid guard, and then you have the combo guard, right? And then you move over to the shooting guard, and you have the small forward, and then you have the dual forward, and then you move to the post, you have the power forward, you have the hybrid post, you have the stretch big, and then you have the point center. So you get a total of 7 additional new positions on top of the 5 standard positions. So, and I think when you look at the game and you read my definitions, and once you read this book is going to just have you just lit up with all these new terms and all these fun ways to really observe not just the NBA, but high school, college, little league as well. And it really helps that way.
What are some underrated players, Rashad, that you look at in the NBA that you think deserve a lot more love than they're getting?
I really love Anthony Simons from Portland. I just think that kid is just tremendous. And, 2 years ago, I said that he was going to start to break out. And I understood when Portland traded CJ McCollum, because it was to open up the floodgates for Anthony Simons, because he's really that good. He's like a younger version of CJ McCollum, but he's way more explosive. And he's kind of the evolution of CJ McCollum, right? It's like CJ McCollum is like the 2014 BMW. And then Anthony Simons is like the 2023 BMW, right? That's just evolution.
Yeah.
How much of your background as a player, a bona fide scorer on the Division I level, but a shorter guard, which if we're being honest, if you came out now, you'd be a starter in the NBA. You just happen to be in the wrong generation. How much of that has led you into the way you handle analysis about players, recruiting, scouting, and obviously the book?
Man, that's a phenomenal question, Keith. And my career in itself is one of the main reasons why I had to write this book. I love this generation of basketball. Keith, me and you have always talked about it. Like, I enjoy the NBA and the players now more than I did 25 years ago, because I think evolution is finally starting to be accepted amongst the masses. When I played, my style of play was kind of taboo, right? And this is documented, and I talk about this in detail in the book. But in 2001, I was attempting 9 3-pointers a game. Nobody in the entire country was doing that. Nobody even in the NBA was attempting 9 threes a game in 2001. I was the only person in the world in 2001 that was attempting 9 3-pointers a game. Now every team has a person attempting 9 a game.
Yeah.
So I was kind of an anomaly when I played. But that is what sharpened my mind to be able to analyze the game today, to be able to relate to today's players, because I see myself in all of them.
It really is, and now it's all 3-point shooting that you see. So you were ahead of the curve, Rashad, as you were mentioned. Wembanyama, I probably butchered his last name, but you know, when you look at him, Rashad, and you look at the kind of talent where, you know, there's fears that teams are going to completely try and tank to try and get him first overall. How much of a generational talent or transformational talent is he?
Man, I think he's fantastic. I when I look at him, every time I watch him, I just think of Giannis, honestly. It's
even taller, right?
Yeah. It's a taller Giannis with a jump shot to me.
That's sick.
It's really scary to if this kid does not injure himself, if he stays healthy, I believe we're watching a transcendent prospect. And you know, I don't want to give it away, but I actually talked about Bettor in my book. So I really did a lot of futuristic speaking in my book as well. And I talked about the growth of a player like him. And he might be a once in a generation lifetime player because 7'4" is just not a normal height. 7'4" is tall in basketball language opposed to just regular humans, right? He's taller than all the NBA players.
Does he have the frame to add the weight that Giannis has? Like, you look at a guy like Chet Holmgren, who's big, but he's really, really, like, you know, slim of body. Like, and he's got a small or a thin frame. Does Bettor have the frame to be able to handle the weight and be able to hold up?
Yeah, I don't think he will get as big as Giannis, but I do think there's room for him to really grow into his body. And that's the scary thing. So I really understand, you know, teams that are so right now, nobody's tanking. Utah's playing well. San Antonio's playing well.
Oh, they're just waiting. They're waiting.
Okay.
They're just waiting. They're faking us out.
Don't worry. They don't want to make it look too bad. They don't. They understand the prize at the end.
Okay. But I do think he ends up in San Antonio. I think San Antonio will be a good landing spot for Bettor. He does have a Tim Duncan type of aura about him. He's kind of quiet, but he has this high skill level that really offsets his quietness and competes at a high level. So it's going to be fun to watch him over the next couple of years, and I just hope he stays healthy. I think it'll be great for the game.
RP3 Natural on social media, Sports Talk 2319. The book, The Evolution, is being televised, basketball position metric. Before we move on to other things, I'd be remiss if we didn't bring up Kobe Bryant. And obviously Kobe Bryant's passing was terrible. You had a relationship with him. He didn't let a lot of people in to the inner circle. How did that relationship get cultivated for you two?
Yeah, I mean, Kobe, man, I have a special piece in my book about Kobe, and I can't wait till you guys read it. It's a very special piece in the book about him. Kobe kept everything close to the vest. He, like you said, Keith, he didn't let a lot of people in. He befriended me in 1996. I don't want to give the whole story away because it's in the book.
I mean, I know some of the stories. So,
but we met in 1996 in high school. And Kobe's one of those type of people that he has to really respect you before he lets you in. You have to earn Kobe's respect before he even lets you get close to him. And you can ask any of his teammates or anybody that's been around him. So long story short, I got a chance to compete against him, and it surprised him at how good I was at this size, to the point where we exchanged numbers and we became friends when he was with the Lakers. Me and Kobe used to talk because it was house phones, evolution, right? It was
right? Phones. Exactly.
Yeah. There was no cell phone. So me and Kobe exchanged house phone numbers. We had two-way pagers. And so we did all that, and we kept in contact for his entire career. And I'll leave it at that because I want you guys to read that part of the book and really understand how special of a person he was to me personally. And before his passing, you guys started to witness the human side of Kobe that he really didn't reveal a lot because he was always in Mamba mode. So I just can't wait till you guys read that part of the book.
No, I can't wait to read it, Rashad. I really can't. Is there something that you took away from Kobe? I'm sure there's a lot. And I don't want you to give away like the stories and everything in the book, but is there kind of a life kind of message that you took away from Kobe?
Yeah, I mean, writing this book, the inspiration of writing this book was Kobe Bryant. I had this idea to write this book back in 2012, and I was just lazy about it. Like you use every excuse to not do something, right? It's like, oh, I'm too busy. I'm doing this. I got to do this. It was like I just didn't want to sit down and take the time out to do all of the research, to write, to put the illustrations together. And I remember a conversation I had with Kobe like back in 2010, 2011 when he came to the Palace. And he always would tell me about finishing. The great ones finish everything. Finish your sprints, finish your work, finish everything. And when he passed, I had a little bit in my notebook to my book. It was just a little bit. And I kept a picture up of him. And I kept telling myself every day, I got to finish. So Kobe inspired me to finish my book. Stop talking about it. Stop posting it on Twitter if you're not going to finish. So I can sit here today in front of you and tell you that my book is finished and it'll be available the first week of December.
Before we let you go, Moose, you should know that his daughter is the next coming. I know that we're not supposed to put any pressure on our kids. His daughter, she 10 or 11 now.
She's 10.
Yeah, she's the truth. Like you go on his Instagram and check out his videos.
I'm gonna check it out.
Apple did not fall far from the tree, and I think she's got to be better than him.
Hey, Rashad, we are flat out of time, Rashad. Listen, you're great. We got to get you on again. All the best. I can't wait to read the book. It's going to be out first week of December. Make sure you get it for the holidays for everyone, for all the basketball fans out there. I know you and Keith are really close. Pleasure to chat with you for the first time. Continued success. All right, Rashad?
I appreciate you guys so much, Keith. I'll probably be texting you in a couple days.
Yep. Yoda, talk soon.
There you have it. Rashad Phillips. Check out his book. Follow him on Twitter as well. I'm out. I got to go do a football show on picks. You got Cody and Keith. They're coming your way next. We're back together tomorrow at 10. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Buff Bets comes your way next right here on Bettor Sports Network.